Video is on.
Going to call to order the July 26th meeting of the Tilton Planning Board. And our first order of business is to review the June 28, 2016 minutes. Everybody have a copy? Gary? The minutes.
Yeah, I remember. Sure we got a track of all. Yeah.
Everybody had a chance to read them?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of June 28th, that's right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Opposed? So done. All right, we have, I think when we got the agenda, that time we didn't have anyone coming in. However, in the meantime, Dari was approached by parties looking to do some, I'll have them explain, but it involves an old 1984 subdivision that was granted out on Sanborn Road. And if you would like to address the board and tell us what you would like to do, and we will go from there.
Sure, absolutely. My name is Jennifer McCourt from McCourt Engineering Associates, and this is Kevin LeFleur with Tilton Realty Trust, the owner of the property. First, I thought it was all organized. The project is too much paper. I did a lot of research on this property, so I apologize for fumbling. It's up on Sanborn Road. It was originally subdivided in 1984. And left the tax map. You do show it on your tax map
We have,
as Meadow Drive. And it shows the 6 lots, 15-1 through 15-6. It is zoned industrial. And so it was approved by DES for the 6 lots. The Tilton Planning Board approved it, and then it was recorded in the Registry of Deeds all in 1984. In December of 1986, Lot 1, which on the plan that we have would be this lot right here. was sold out. And the one that Tilton Realty Trust owns are the other, actually, there's 6 lots because Meadow Drive is, according to your
Yep.
assessor, a separate lot.
Okay.
So basically, the recording of the approval of the plans and the recording of the plans and then the selling of one lot basically consummated the subdivision as it is today. And Kevin wants to make sure that he preserves that subdivision. When I went to, we had the wetlands remapped. I do have a plan of that, which the wetlands now are actually less than what they were then. Here's Sanborn Road, and then that's lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then lot 15, which is the road. The wetlands are here, and then here, those have all been field located. We haven't been able to get back out there yet. It's really, really thick with roses, probably, wild roses, probably a good 20, 25 feet tall. So it's kind of nasty. But anyways, so basically I started looking at the design of the road to try to get access across through there in the right of way. When I did that, I looked up your subdivision regulations to use your, try to see if we could use your standard template, what it is now, even though this was approved back in '84. Unfortunately, what I found was the right of way is fine for either a local or a private road, 50-foot wide, which that's what it is. The problem comes in the size of the cul-de-sac. You require now a 75-foot cul-de-sac, and back in, well, the regulations that we found were actually 86, we assume they didn't change, was a 60-foot right-of-way. 60-foot diameter right-of-way circle is what is deeded out there. So, at the suggestion of Dari, I went and talked to the fire chief and got his template of his truck. What he sent me was this, and it basically said that minimum radius of 38.64 feet is what he needed to be able to turn his biggest truck around. To be honest with you, what standard engineering practice is to use a WB-40, which is an attenuated single unit truck, which actually requires it's a 40-foot radius is what we round it up to. But here, what I would recommend is a 50-foot radius, and because it's in the industrial zone, I would also ask the board to entertain allowing us to pave the center of it. Only because if these are industrial lots, you're looking at really big trucks coming in here. And if you look at the larger trucks and the way that they turn, if they turn around or have to back in or whatever, they have these really weird turning radiuses. You can see that it's off center, and they need a lot more room. And that's why a lot of the roundabouts and stuff you see get beat up pretty badly by the big trucks if they're too small, because they need that extra room to get around. Also, what we would request, I did do a profile of that, and it's really flat out there. So what I would also request is not to do the asphalt curbing out there, and sheet flow it and treat it that way instead. But, you know, in the cul-de-sac itself, from edge of pavement to the back of the right-of-way is only 338 feet. Before basically what he'd like to do, what Kevin would like to do is create the road going in, and for now provide parking out there for, I think, modular homes? Modular homes. And then, but he also wants to make sure that he keeps the lots, that he doesn't use them. So it's, one of those old subdivisions, and that's why we're coming to you to try to, get guidance on the best way to proceed from here.
Okay, well, first of all, the vesting period is passed. You were granted the subdivision in 1984 and nothing basically has been done.
Excuse me, the problem is, yes, it has been done. This lot has been
But it-
sold out, and I can't undo that.
Okay. But you've not done anything else except that lot was sold.
You're right, so I can't undo that.
Okay.
I can't undo the
Correct, you can't-
subdivision.
All right. You can come for a new subdivision plan before the board. Because according to the New Hampshire Municipal Law Association, an approval date was from the past to 12/31/2004. You've got 4 years in which to do something. Our regulations, I believe, now read 5 years, don't they, Dory?
Right, they did do something. They sold the lot.
Correct, but you've not done anything. When was that lot sold?
1986.
Okay, so it's been longer than 5 years.
But they only said back then that you had to do one thing, and one thing was done to vest the subdivision.
Is that the way you understand? That's
I mean,
not the way I understand it.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this in the past, and I think based on the research I've done since we last talked, and a lot of it, today, honestly, I'm seeing that, there doesn't seem to be, all the discussion of the vesting period seems to be focused on 2 points. One, active and substantial, and the other being substantial completion. So, I don't see anything that's saying the selling of one lot can be equated to substantial completion. And I think particularly where there's a road proposed, that's probably, there were no houses necessarily proposed, although, there were lots divided. The majority of the infrastructure was probably focused around that road, and apparently, the road was not built. So that would, if the road had been built, then I think there'd be a case for substantial completion. But without the road, it seems hard to make the case of substantial completion.
I guess, and I'm not an attorney, and I'm not saying I am, but my understanding of the law was that substantial completion didn't come into being until long after this subdivision was recorded and that lot was sold out.
Yeah, and until just today, after I talked to you on the phone, I really didn't have anything that I felt got at that nuance that you had brought up, that sort of fact that, the law looked very differently, and an investor at that time had certain expectations. But this particular piece of paper that Chairman Alden is reading from does seem to get at that. It's, and in particular on this table on the back, it says, all the way back to the, beginning of time to 12/31/2004. And then it states, and these are our most prominent land use attorneys, I guess you could say, in New Hampshire. So that gave me a certain degree of confidence that I can, give this to the board and say, look, this is the best guidance I can give you guys when you make your decision. So that's kind of the best we have at this point, I guess I would say.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
If you look down at this piece of paper, I think on the
It's
vesting
pretty
rules
clear.
of the road, it's pretty clear, especially number 4 and number 5.
Yeah, I'm sorry if that ended bitterly. I didn't, you know, I meant, I expected they would have a response to that.
I did
No, but we have, quite honestly, we had places here on East Main that at one point East Main was commercial. It got changed to multi. We've got some home businesses there that all of a sudden were doing a certain thing that could no longer do that because of the changes, and this falls quite within that.
And as I said earlier, before you got here, Judy, 822, that has even come back since we've been on the planning board, 822 Laconia Road.
Yes,
So we have precedent where we've said no, you know, that's the
It's
rule,
just
and
too
that's
far
what we're
out.
doing, yeah,
because there was nothing that showed active insubstantial development.
yeah,
Selling one lot is not active
I
or
don't think they
substantial.
developed anything.
they
No.
did.
If
Well,
they
you-
sold all the lots, they developed nothing.
Right, and they're not active, so.
Yeah. All right,
And I feel for them.
Yeah, I
They
feel
come
bad.
to this
Yeah,
property,
absolutely.
but what are you gonna do?
Absolutely, you would
You
like
make
them
an
to be
exception
able
for
to-
them because you feel bad for them, you gotta do it for everyone.
No, we have to
Yeah.
go by the letter of the
Yeah.
law.
all right. I didn't expect that to be such an abrupt leave.
Yeah, yeah, I thought.
I
it was
thought
gonna
they
be-
had something more they were
Right,
gonna,
right,
or some guidance or something.
yeah.
Okay,
They folded pretty easy, something's gonna come back on that.
Yeah.
Either that or they had a feeling that, you know,
Yeah, it could
it was
be.
iffy, yeah.
What's next?
next. I'm gonna go to Dory's letter.
The application for
Yeah.
review?
We talked about this and what we can do in the workshop, and I think we've all agreed in the past that we really need to do something with a lot of the forms we have.
Yes.
And I said to Dari, one of the things I'd like to do is to see us be able to take all the different forms we have that we throw at people when they come in for various things, and have one form. And that one form could guide them on that form for certain parts of it. I think it would make it easier for us, and I think it would certainly make it easier for applicants who come in. Right now, it's, you know, catch what we can catch as they come through, and sometimes they get all the forms, sometimes they don't even get them all. And they're pretty hard to understand, and sometimes I don't think we even know what we want. And, you know, I'd like us to all be able to go out on the property and look at it and say, gee, this is or isn't, you know, meeting the requirements we have. And I know I go by and I call Dari on
No,
a
this
piece of
year, you know
property
what I
this
found
week
out?
that, you know, I drove by and I'd seen, and I can use what it is, behind Dunkin' Donuts, there's a piece of property. I made this something wrongly, that it was owned by Dunkin' Donuts, that whole strip of property was owned.
Which,
The one out by you. That part of that lot is wetlands. Goes to the brook. They were clearing all of those trees, and I thought they were clearing it because they were cleaning things up, so assuming it was all part of Dunkin' Donuts. And I found out from a hairdresser. I'm laughing because everybody knows what people say about hairdressers. From somebody who went to a hairdresser who said, oh no, they're putting a landscaping business in there.
Really?
Yeah. So I
Surprise.
called Dari and said, Dari and Al, actually, Dari and Al actually went out there and found out that it is a different business. They didn't have any idea they needed to come in here. So that's the kind of thing
Living under a rock, I mean, everybody requires
well,
planning board approval for stuff like that.
I don't think a lot of people know that, do you? I mean,
I don't know.
I think when businesses move in town, they don't have any idea that they're supposed to come here and register. And it may seem like they live under a rock, but I think a lot of people do, especially small businesses who've never had to do anything like that before. They think, gee, I've rented this building, I'm gonna throw my sign out and
don't know that.
do whatever, and I don't think they do it maliciously. So I think, we all need to be aware of all those things going on. Another example is that we have And I questioned this one too, and I was said, oh no, they have a vendors or a peddlers, hawkers and peddlers. I think it's more than just
Yes.
a little roadside stand. I mean, they've got a porta potty there, they're cooking there, they've got tables there.
A barbecue joint?
Yeah, they have
They
the
haven't
same.
been here?
No,
No. And I was
You were told that
told
they were
by,
under
I was
hawkers and
told
peddlers.
by a selectman, they did not
Mhm,
have to
me
come
too.
in here. So there are two selectmen that have said that they didn't have to come in here because they had a hawkers and peddlers.
but
I
he said
don't
it's
agree with
more
that.
than.
Yeah, and to me, it's like the lobster connection. I mean, they have a building,
Yeah.
their building's not portable, these people have a little portable building, but it's a building.
And they have outside seating,
They have
you said
outside
porta
seating,
potties.
they have porta potties, I don't see any difference, and so, I mean, as the planning board, I think we should have some say, and I don't think we do we? It was just,
Now, that's a interesting area, because they, except for the outside seating, the ornate outside seating that they've got, they kind of fit into that whole food truck mentality. It's a portable building, and that's how they operate out of. They got a little grill outside or whatever, a smoker and what have you. And they do have a porta potty on the location, but I think it's only a temporary thing. I don't think they're there for the long term.
Yeah, for the season.
Yeah, I think it's just for a
And the
couple
lease
of
What
months.
about
will
DOT?
catch up.
There's still,
It's
to me,
got a-
there's still a question on
It's
the
got
driveway.
it's got a driveway cut, there's a driveway cut there.
But is it for that?
It's for that property.
Yeah, but each driveway cut is for a specific business. That's where the concern comes in on that.
And that might be an issue.
see, I think it's an issue, and do you think it's an issue?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, then perhaps the board of
Does Al think it's
selectmen.
an issue?
Yeah,
I don't think I signed that one. I don't remember signing that one. I assumed that they came here and got a permit.
I mean,
Nothing.
I think the topic is an issue. I don't, I can't say
Well,
that
I think that,
particular
no, well,
site,
that's how
yeah.
I feel, the
Yeah,
topic's
yeah.
an issue.
But we have various, that's where you go with the topic. We have various things around town doing this.
Yeah,
And
and,
how do we make sure that it's fair
Right.
and equal to all parties
Mhm.
and in the best interest of the town?
right, it seems like right now we look almost by what a hot dog stand, you think, hot dog stand, hawkers and peddlers,
Well, a hot dog stand would be,
a
but that's
restaurant.
more than a hot dog stand.
Right, but it's, right now it's
Selling
done on
beef
just
and pulled
kind of
pork instead of hot dogs.
theory,
Actually, they
like,
sell hot dogs too.
Well,
Okay.
I
They
don't
do
know if
sell
it's an
hot.
appropriate story or not, but a couple of years ago, the ice cream truck came down my neighborhood,
I hate the
Oh,
ice.
they went after him.
and he turned left
He had no
down
license.
a Selectman's Road. And all the kids, myself included, were all at the edge of the road waiting for the ice cream truck to come. 25 minutes come by, and wait, and finally he comes back out, and he gets to my house, I'm like, dude, what happened up there? Did you get stuck? And he goes, no, there's a selectman that lives up there. Apparently I need to have a hawkers and peddlers license. She took all my information, and to this day, I have not seen the ice cream truck come back to my neighborhood.
He had one in our neighborhood that used to come around every night and
Probably the same guy.
it could be.
And I know that there are meat vendors that go around.
Yes.
And I know a meat vendor that came up that same Selectman Street, and I thought she was gonna break her neck and getting out to see if he had a hawkers and peddlers.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, like, if I had a hot dog cart and I was selling it at the outlets, for instance, where I just set up on the side of the road. do I
Judy
need a-
can talk, address
Oh,
that.
I had the hot dog
No, I
cart
did,
there,
but do I
and
need
the
it?
selectman put me through the ringer and cost me
Did I?
lots and lots of money. It was
You know,
ridiculous.
But if I
And I was
if
on
I
the
make
side,
my
not the Selectman's too.
building a little bit more permanent, and
Right.
lock the wheels or take the wheels
Yeah,
off
that was on
for the
wheels, ready to-
season, does that still constitute, does that all of a sudden make it a building? Does that make it a?
It's still portable. Even if it's on the box, you just put the
No,
wheels back
because now
on.
you're saying every mobile home in a mobile home park that you take off the axles is still mobile, so
They are technically.
it's a little work.
technically.
They
Well,
are.
it's not like you throw the
watch,
wheels back on.
if you watch the History Channel and watch Flip and Move, those houses they buy are movable too, so.
Big buildings.
Everything is.
Yeah.
We can move town hall.
Yeah, but these were built to move. All those trailers are built to move, and they can move. They do move.
But what if it was a trailer and they were there for 10, what if it's a hot dog stand that's there for 10 years? Does
You have
that
to
matter?
get
Does
the-
the duration matter? What
A
does
hawkers
it
and
matter?
peddlers license does not go 10 years.
Well, I'm
It's a
saying,
limited time thing.
Yeah, but if somebody gets it renewed every year for 10 years, is that really appropriate?
I'm,
No, I
Okay,
would
here's a
say-
question, Mr. Ex officio Selectman. Does that change the taxes on that property for the property owner? Because now you've had an outside business come in, had the, Same.
I'm on the board of assessors, but I'm not an assessor by trade.
I'm
so
just curious how that plays
That
out.
would be a Lauren question. Lauren's our.
Because now we as a
assessor.
town are not
Getting
collecting property tax on that business that is there, yet you have people that have committed to a brick and mortar building that we are getting those taxes on.
Well, that piece of property has had several things in there. There was like a,
Firewood place.
firewood place, and then they had like that little
Oh,
yard
good
sale
village.
thing they had going on in there, and.
I'm just
little-
curious.
Little stuff.
I don't think that
know-
was
I
the
have a
same
dog
place.
in the
Yeah,
fight.
that
I
is-
think
That's
the
right
firewood
there.
place was down where
No,
the
it's
truck
right there.
parks. Oh, was it? Right
Yeah,
there?
It's right
yeah,
there,
it goes
yeah.
right there.
They've had a couple of little things in there, but it's worth what it's worth. It doesn't have a building, and it doesn't, it's just a piece of property, really. They rented it out a few times.
Well, I know somebody who wanted to put billboards up there.
Well, that's not gonna work. I hate them.
But if they take them down seasonally, are they hawkers and peddlers?
Well, you can have a 40 square foot, a 40
Well,
square
no, I
foot
think it's a
sign.
legitimate concern.
You
I
can
really
have a
do.
sign, 40 square feet, but you would have to have a site plan
You
for a
would.
sign.
No problem.
but, that's, off-premises signage isn't permitted, so that's
Yeah.
another issue there.
Does that mean I can go up front and take that sign off?
Unless
When
they're
it's right in
grandfathered.
front of town hall?
Yeah.
If they're grandfathered, they
Okay,
can be.
True.
Mhm.
But I think, and listening to you guys talk, it's, you've talked about different aspects of businesses and how, permanency is one of them. Size is another, to me, plumbing seems to be a factor. If a place has running plumbing, or if they have seating, I guess I'm focusing on restaurants now. It seems like there are some number of factors that we could identify and then create criteria that say, and maybe even include that in the site, it should be in the site plan review regulations, and say, and give some guidance. Say, if you're doing these things, you don't have to come, you don't need to use these regulations. Go see the select board for a hawkers and peddlers license. But it establishes that threshold, and then the other thing, we were, Jane and I were, Chairman Alden and I were talking about recently is, the idea of just getting all this into, kind of the gist of my email today is getting all this into the site plan review regulations, so you're not sort of, like I said in my email, if you look at the site plan review regulations, basically, if it's not a 1 or 2 family house, you gotta come to the planning board for site plan review. But then we've sort of been leaning more on this change of use regulations, and clearly the town has created some broader dialogue and some more detailed criteria that say, no, you don't actually have to come to site plan review for that. But they shouldn't be separate forms in my mind, they should all be together in the same place.
And it's like I said to Dari, it's like everything has been piecemeal. It's been, somebody said, gee, well, we need this. And we said, well, we'll create a form for it. I know we did that, we were talking about the parking, for driveways, when we were having Public Works do it. We'll create a form for it. And we've just got all these different forms that in no way fit together, and which one do we use where and why? And somebody could come in and say, well, I did such and such a form. Well, yes, but this isn't the form you do, you have to do a DOT. And people are confused
Yeah.
because we've made it very confusing and cumbersome, I think. And I think we need to simplify it so that we understand it. And it'll make it a lot easier for them to understand it. And we won't be with this question of should they have a site plan review or shouldn't they?
Yeah, and can I just add, although those, there is some disorganization to all those old forms that, you know, are all in different fonts and this and that. However, I find them tremendously valuable because they do reflect, as Chairman Alden said, a point in time where the town said, this is really important, we gotta do something about this. And those forms tend to have a lot of important ideas. So when I'm doing these forms in a more uniform format, it's really been tremendously helpful to be able to go and look at the things that were important to the community in the past and bring them in. So it's kind of nice. I just wanted to add that in to make sure that, you know, those old forms are incredibly valuable and important. A lot of hard work went into it.
I didn't mean to say they weren't.
Yeah, no, I know.
was saying that
I was
they've
just-
all come in
right,
because they
yeah.
have been important,
Right.
but they're disjointed right now.
Exactly.
And we need, I think, to get them in perspective. And for instance, these people who came in tonight, if they had stayed and we talked it through more, one of the things that would have come up was whether or not they needed a site plan. And it's something I think we needed to talk about. Al immediately said they did need to. So, you know, we need guidance and things like that. So that's why I think it's important that we spend some time, if Dari will sift through and come to us. Or am I the only one who thinks that it's important? Do other people think
No,
it is
because
too?
we've, some meetings we've gotten away from, our job is a hearing, and our job is what is best for the long term in our community. So just because something is gray doesn't mean it's the best thing 20 years from now for the people that live here to live with, and every decision we make, we're making for the future people of our community, whether it's our children and grandchildren. So things like this application for change of review is fantastic, because how many times have we forgotten to say, are you on sewer? Now it's here.
Yeah.
It's black and white, and
Yeah.
everybody can go, oops, yes, no. You know, this has just redefined a lot of stuff into
Yeah.
one document that's easy for everybody, easily read, and everybody can work and go, okay, yes. If it's this, then I need to do this. If it's 100 year, then I need to do this. And it
Yeah.
triggers the next step that they may have to do
Which is why it's so good to have you on board.
No, it's nice.
this week.
Good to be here.
Next week, we might have to build that way.
Today, we
Okay, any other comments about this application for change of use review? Joe, have you had a chance to look at it?
yeah, I like a lot of the things you've done.
Yeah, thanks, and, you know, again, it's in my, whatever H drive or whatever it is that connects to our, it has just all this information. It's really a matter of me just pulling from it and bringing it into, Al and I recently redid all the building permit forms, the plumbing, electrical, and just the standard building permit. And this is the format, so I was able to basically take the format we developed for that, and then take all that useful information that past planning boards have developed and just copy and paste it in. So it's actually, it's time consuming, yes, but it's not like I'm reinventing anything.
No, it's you're getting into a more workable facet, so
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
the
something-
people coming in, we're more user-friendly, so
Absolutely, yeah.
that's important too.
Is everything that they might ever possibly want to ask themselves included with this one?
Probably
How many
not.
times do they come in and we say, did you do
Just
the
asking,
100-year floodplain?
we're changing the flood, you got 100-year flood plan. I mean, that seems pretty all-encompassing, but if you're gonna change it, if there's any other changes that need to be made, that would be my observation.
It's what did you say? What's,
Is there any other things that should be on this form that are not currently on this form? If we're gonna change it, I would think we'd wanna get it as good as we could.
Well, how many times does somebody come in and go, what are you gonna do about your floodplain? And we go, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, now they've been preempted to say,
yeah,
oh, we're gonna have to think
Yeah, when the stuff in the box, is this property, and ask those questions, that when Al and I developed that for the building permits, we did spend a fair amount of time kind of doing what you're saying,
Yeah,
Joe.
yeah.
But now that it's shifted, those were building permits, this is planning board stuff, so I will check, I'll work with Al tomorrow and.
Because I don't know, I'm just throwing that
Yeah,
out.
no.
And I think
Seems
the
like we
fact that,
change things and then go, damn, we should have added
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Right,
yeah.
and I think you've got, for instance, within the 100-year, okay, people can't say, well, I thought I only had to have it for 50 years, and we've had that.
Oh,
But 3
right.
years ago, 50 was plenty.
Exactly.
Now we've gotten nailed how many
Well,
times.
but we had
Yeah,
had
we have
200
100-year
year
floods
within the
every
last
3
2
or 4
years.
years.
Exactly, so.
Well, that's
History
actually,
dictates what we
you know,
do.
100 years.
that kind of brings up another topic, but I think it's relative. We have talked in the past about bringing some of the requirements that are clearly spelled out in the subdivision regulations into the site plan review regulations, and one of them is stormwater. So maybe I should, since we're working on site plan review, I'm glad you mentioned that, I'll try and bring some of those things in also.
Stormwater, to me, is a very, very important issue right now.
Yeah,
Going forward, it's gonna be too.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, and it's not something that's gonna go away.
absolutely,
It's gonna get more intensive, if anything.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I think we should be on top of that.
Yep, yeah, I think, I think it's time for us to start getting ready for a town meeting in March. Maybe we've gotten through this sort of a large number of cases that seem to have been coming our way the last few months. It seems like it's starting to lighten up a little bit. And yeah, stormwater, definitely. I'll start circulating materials on that in the next few months. But one thing that would be a huge step in the right direction is, I think, in the subdivision regulations, it calls for, no increase in runoff and no decrease in water quality coming off the property. And because of the way our site plan review regulations are written, where they reference the subdivision regulations, we can kind of go and say, okay, you need to follow this, but it's not as clear as it should be if it were spelled out in the site plan review.
And I think that we sometimes as a board forget that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we need something to make that easier for us as well as for people coming in.
Right, just like Ms. Tilton was saying, it's
Yeah.
put it clearly so applicants and planning
Yep.
board members and me are not forgetting things,
Yep. All right, what else, Guy?
Sorry.
Anything?
So I guess if it's okay with you guys, what I would propose to do is start working on, kind of what I had hoped to do today, during the day-to-day, a little bit of it, and I did do a little bit, but not, anyway. Bring this language from the change of use form, not the application, but the narrative on the front of it. Bring that language into the site plan review regulations, in such a way that it's all in one document, and it basically says, what are you doing? If you're doing this, just check with the code enforcement officer. He'll let you know, most likely you don't need site plan review. If it's middle ground, do the change of use form. The planning board will let you know if you do site plan review, or if it clearly needs site plan review, do your site plan review. We could even, I think maybe down the road, I won't put this as first priority, but start working in some language that draws the distinction between when you go for a hawker's peddler's license and when you come to the planning board. I'm not quite ready for that.
If it's clearly defined, then,
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
that whole barbecue thing does present gray areas, I think.
okay, so maybe we should work on that too.
In my own
So,
personal feeling only.
yeah,
But it seems, I just assumed that
yeah,
they had, a site plan review and everything, because I missed a few meetings.
mhm,
Well, like that place down there, I was going by there for months, watching them clear the trees, and someone had to know about it, never mentioned it.
we,
but
the
down by Dunkin' Donuts down there.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Even that one, the other one that you mentioned down here, I came in here and I was told all they needed was hawkers and peddlers license.
Well, I questioned it too, so I guess
Well,
they're
I
gonna be.
questioned it months ago, and, because I know there was a lot across the street that came before the board, and there was issue with traffic,
Mhm.
you know?
Right.
So what would be the difference between a,
And the drainage and that was it,
Yep.
that one.
you know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
And I don't know how to prevent that kind of thing, other than calling. Like, I know I called you to see who bought the property by Judy's
oh, right.
with the sale pending, the property that there was toxic waste on it.
The tire dump?
Yeah,
That's all been fixed though.
yeah, that's all, but I didn't know, it just said sale pending. Well, who's
Yeah.
buying it?
Mhm.
What are they gonna do with it, you know? And that's how I found that by calling you, and, you know, they're,
Yeah.
So
I mean,
what's going on the tire dump?
I don't know.
Tilton Trailer's buying it,
Oh, okay, there, yeah, okay, right. Yeah, they have, Tilton Trailer basically wants to expand to across the street.
Yeah,
And so they did they got this special exception for having trailers. We were talking about earlier, there's like a number of things that wind up getting approved under that particular line in the charter permitted uses. But anyway, yeah, Tilton Trailer is planning to expand in there. So should I do that? Okay.
yeah. Anything else?
Oh, actually, Tilton Trailer will be at the next meeting.
Okay.
Site plan review.
there you go.
I will not be here.
There you go.
Yankees, Red Sox.
No.
Good for
You
you.
can't.
That's all that.
Did you mean on the last line of this to say inaccurate information immediately renders the building permit null and void?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Thank you.
I thought that might be a,
Although, I did look at that and I thought, I was looking, oh, should I, it has Al's extension, it talks about drywall and occupancy, and I thought, actually, that's still relevant,
I mean, it doesn't hurt, but I
Right,
didn't know if
but
that
the
was.
building permit part, yeah, thank you, I'm not sure that belongs. Maybe I should just make it more vague and say renders, I don't know, oh, yeah,
They
thank
just
you.
want you
Well,
to
think
know that
about
people
it.
read what
Yeah.
you did.
Thank you.
I didn't want you to think all your work was for naught.
Thank you.
How we roll here at the old Shire.
I mean, that's really a basic statement. That covers it.
Yeah, right. Don't lie.
Don't lie or forget it.
Yeah.
What's a scale bar? I think we should go find out.
It's a,
Ah.
yeah. It's a
Is that anywhere near the?
upscale sushi bar.
I can read your truck. No.
Yes, you know what it's like.
Okay, they charge you by your weight.
Cut 'em, no problem.
So it's not height, I really like the way this whole thing about the site plan is required to,
Does this replace that old big 3-page thing that we had, or is this just separate? A separate one?
Oh, you mean to replace this?
Yeah,
So-
well,
so-
the boxes always get checked and then we go.
Oh, no,
No, we still
I
need
wish.
that.
Oh,
That's next. Yeah, we're gonna deal with that, definitely.
that's a mess though.
It
No,
is.
and I forget what that was called. so.
Well, it's just the site plan subdivisions checklist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah.
I think that we should have a bonfire with
Well,
all
the
those.
thing that I find with that is that no matter how many times I tell people that for everything you check off NA, we need a letter that specifically addresses each and every one of them. That just I cannot get people to do it. I mean, I
Well,
don't.
that's because of the form.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
It's too easy. There's so many things in there. And I think a lot of people don't understand some of the things. It's cumbersome.
Yeah.
That form is very cumbersome.
So they almost feel helpless. They're like, you know what? I'm just gonna turn this in and see what happens. nuance, and then,
Well, I think they do, I'm serious, I really do.
Yeah, I can see
But
that.
if you look at Northfield's
yep,
application, it clearly makes it that if you are saying NA, then if you need to ask for an exemption to that, this is the process to do that. It's very clear.
I found, yeah,
I mean,
and
we honestly-
Northfield, I'm sorry,
We honestly have to write things to a fifth grade level,
Yeah.
because that's what people read at as a rule.
Lowest common denominator.
Yeah, and
Make
that's,
sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
even, you know, the New York Times is written at a fifth grade level, and that's
Right.
fine. But knowing that, that's what we have to do.
yeah,
The fifth graders can't do their crossword puzzle.
yeah, that's
I agree.
No fifth grader I know.
In my
anyway.
school. So it's sometimes as simplistic as we think it sounds, we have to talk to everybody.
Yeah, right.
That's very smart.
Just make, on every form, put a yes or no answer will be sufficient. Either yes or no it. They understand that.
This may be a stupid question, but shouldn't this have like a date received on here? Like the date you received it? They
You
dated
do a
it.
timestamp
guessing.
when it comes in?
Yeah, I don't know,
It's just a question. That's all.
I guess the date where they sign it,
I was gonna say, why wouldn't you use that date?
Well, if that's
Well,
not the date they gave it to
They
you.
signed it today, and they gave it to us in 30 years.
I don't know, I mean, what's the benefit in that?
I just throw it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I could date, I suppose, you know, it might get date stamped when it comes in, I don't necessarily date stamp everything.
Work for a company, and they're, as soon as I'm out, they'll.
See, I mean, sometimes I wonder why people think that's so valuable, because,
We
if
do
I
that
screw
with
up
all
and
the
like,
Stuff we get in the selectman's office, town administrator, finance.
what, it's
Do it automatically, yeah.
I just don't, yeah, sometimes I wonder the value in that, because if I get it, let's say I get an application in, and I totally drop the ball and I, you know, shove it in my desk somewhere, and, you know, 3 months later, the people are like, what happened? I gave that to you 3 months ago. You know, okay, we have a date that proved I totally screwed up. I mean, what's the value in that? I don't know.
There's a lot.
I mean, maybe that's a bad
Well,
example.
I was thinking maybe along the lines of the, would this pertain to the 65-day window or whatever we have to?
No.
Okay. I get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it might, I think, you know, all this would fall under the preliminary review phase.
I think the date on here would be sufficient.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah, but sorry, bad example, but I guess I'm not sure the value, always knowing exactly
Just
what
let
it
it
is.
happen.
Do we need to look in Diary's drawers?
Yeah, right, go find some old things.
Desk.
That's gross.
Oh, that's. Thanks, Judy.
I'm here for you, sister.
Okay, anything else?
Sure. What are we gonna do?
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
All in favor? Opposed? Write that down, Joe did one vote.
Wait, my motion.
The motion is being passed.
School building, you still in the same spot?
We
Where's
went,
your watch?
Is it the
Didn't
same
pay for the other watch.
The one in the middle was in this car?
kindergarten, the Bay State,